Hello and greetings everyone. I apologize for the way I look. It's really hot right here, right now. That's also why I'm recording videos and not playing video games right now. Don't want my computer to overheat. So I'm using this to re-record some videos so that you can see them later and I can upload regularly. Now this video is going to be an addition to the video that I just wrapped up, which is force powers. And as things go, if you're doing things unscripted and out of your head, you miss out on things. And just when I stopped recording, I realized I should have explained more force powers, and I definitely should have explained some things about the force more in depth. Now the most important thing that I wanted to add is Nekash and the Celestials. Now, if you are a Star Wars nerd, you might have known of these and heard of these. If you're not, you probably never heard any of that. Now, if you've seen the Rebels TV show, you know that were they Rebels? They were definitely in Clone Wars. The father, the son, and the daughter, who are the avatars of the balance, force balance, the dark side and the light side. Which, by the way, again, is a yin-yang thing. It's not what Yoda thought. And to show you that I'm not pulling this out of my backside, I'll on the playground.com website, and I'll give you canon and, well, now expanded universe legends powers that were in Star Wars, and there's not even all of them. Like, they completely ignored the RPG books. They ignored some of the video game powers that people have, but it is a list of 66 force powers, distinct into light, neutral and dark side powers. Rest is the same as in the previous video before. And before I start listing those and going a little bit on about each of these powers, the most important thing that I want you to know is that the Celestials are beings that are not even using the Force, because if you really go hardcore into Star Wars mythology, the Force was created by other beings. We know that Nekash, one of the Celestials, also called the Father of Darkness, not to mix up with the Father who is the avatar of the balance, the grey side of the Force. The Dark Father, Nekash, was a being that literally created the dark side of the Force. He literally created the dark side force and everything that encompasses. We don't know who created the light side or who created the balance, but it's very likely that other Celestials did do that. Now, with the Celestials, there's another thing that most Star Wars fans are oblivious to. The Force isn't even the only mythical cosmic power, magic style power out there. There's other force is the wrong word here, other powers at play that are equal to the Force or even more powerful than the Force. It's the powers that the Celestials created the galaxy far, far away with. It allowed them to literally create star systems out of nothing and create all kinds of life forms and stuff like that. So this wasn't mostly not even done with the Force. While the Force is a cosmic power with technically no limitations, it's not even the only one. And in theory, just fanfic wise, you could have a character that actually can use one of these unnamed powers that are not the Force and can produce whatever you want, because these things exist and we know that they work on a cosmic scale. The Force is just the one that's somehow stuck around with the galaxy when the others kind of faded into oblivion. While I have to say that apparently there is still beings around that are capable of using powers that are not possible with the Force, though that's very rare and really out there, though it is canon, or used to be canon with the expanded universe, and again made by officially Lucas Arts produced content. By the way, Lucasfilm and George Lucas himself made the whole grey side, light side, dark side canon. Just saying that, and Disney picked up on that, and it's also canon in the Disney timeline. So just to do that. So now, before this video gets way too long, let's just start with the powers. I hope you can see what I can see on my screen. I shared it. And light side powers. So these are powers that are typically used by lightsiders. Again, Jedi aren't even the only lightsiders around, and some of these powers are powers that Jedi don't use but other orders do. Same will come for the others. Neutral powers are those considered that both Darksiders and Lightsiders can use, but the grey ones are the real masters of neutral powers. The Sith or Darksiders are the real masters of Darkside powers, and Jedi can only achieve mastery in Lightside powers. So with that said, let's start. Animal Bond. Ability to control animals in various ways, yada yada yada. That's actually something that a lot of Jedi are capable to and use to commune with animals, tame animals to ride and get mounts and stuff like that. Art of the Small. Radical and advanced force power achieved through meditation. The user's rank to microscopic size. Now, that is basically Ant-Man, and yes, this is a power that actually exists, though it is one that is so rare, and I highly recommend not using it because it's really out there. Beam of Light. That's one of the restricted ones that is not seen outside the native species, though it could be. Channels the sum of a planet's force energy into a colossal beam of light at the moment of the death of a person. Now, this could be really, really cool for use with the Jedi, who sadly don't, well, luckily don't use that, but because this would a big FU to the Sith killing them. It's basically, well, I'm not sure if I can say it on YouTube. Cleanse Mind, sure, just a normal defensive one. Electric Judgment, that's the one I talked about. That's what the Jedi call Force Lightning. Now I have to say, this is listed as a light side power, but even the Jedi themselves say this is a dark side power and you shouldn't use it if you're a Jedi. But as with many other powers like Mind Trick, those are dark side powers because basically dark side powers are powers that destroy, that hurt, that violate. Those are dark side powers. Powers that heal, powers that protect are considered light side. Electrical Judgment, definitely a dark side power, though Jedi know how to use it, and when they use it with righteous anger, which, come on dude, it's just anger. Sith do that too, and the Jedi themselves say never use that power. Luke Skywalker uses this power and tells his pupils to not use this power because it's basically throwing you right into the dark side. But again, Jedi aren't only capable of using light side powers. They can use dark side powers. They're just really risking their mastery of the light side and tend to fall to the dark side if they do it too much. Same goes the other way around. Sith aren't limited to dark side powers, but if they do learn light side powers, it diminishes their mastery of the dark side powers, and well, I've talked about that in the last video. Flashburn, Jedi's ability to shut down errors of their minds in reaction to emotional trauma. Like, very useful and typically Jedi thing. Blinding Flash, I'm not sure, I think you can read that for yourself, so I don't have to read it out aloud. Though I should, it's a YouTube video after all. Force Blinding. Blinding flash of energy radiated from a user's hand, temporarily blinding a target. Nothing special here, it's basically a flashbang out of your hands. That's what it is. Force Enlightenment, power that elevates the Jedi's most skilled abilities to the highest degree that achieved during previous training. Basically Force steroids if you want. Force Harmony, users could unite their energy into a pure, powerful manifestation of the light side. That's basically resisting all kinds of dark side powers. Force Light, weaken the dark side target's connection to the Force or purge the dark side. That's what the Jedi Council used on Revan to on the Exile, on Mitra Surek to cut off her connection to the Force. And Force Light can weaken the dark side, but there is a similar power that can cut you off from the Force completely. which is one of the most diabolical things you can do to a Force sensitive, and ironically it's not the Sith doing that. Force melt, technique that allowed Force users to join their minds together and draw strength from each other. Also, I'm not sure if it's the exact same, but it's basically battle meditation on a smaller scale. Battle meditation is a trick that is basically this, but it also connects non-Force sensitives and allows them to see through the eyes of each other, and gives them basically a huge moral boost and other psychological boosts. Force stun temporarily dampened the senses and perceptions of the target, inhibiting most movement. Yeah, though I'd argue that's again actually a dark side power, because it forces your will on someone else and kinda hurts their functions. So I wouldn't say that's a light side ability. Just me maybe. Force stasis, a more potent version of Force stun. Yep, absolutely. That's basically the smaller version of Force freeze, which again Cal Kestis could use this on multiple targets, or better said on an area, not just a single person. So that would be the even more powerful version of Force stasis. And I'd actually put Force stasis and Force freeze and Force stun as neutral powers, because all three of those have been done by Sith as well. Just saying, and it's not inherently a light side power. I'd actually put it more towards the dark side, though I would put these three, Force stun, Force stasis and Force freeze, as a neutral power, because it's clearly going against someone's will and it's clearly forcing yourself onto others, but it's not actually hurting them. It's not actually damaging them, so it's not really a dark side power either. But the website made it this way. I think it should be done differently. Force Valor increases speed, accuracy, dexterity, yada yada yada. Basically, Force roids again, and that's a typical power that the Sith have as well. There it's called Force Rage. So increase speed, accuracy, dexterity, and yada yada yada. Is basically Force Rage, and Force Valor is not just yourself but multiple targets, and Force Rage also has a version that affects multiple targets. It's basically the same thing. The difference is where the power source comes from. So in Force Rage you're giving into your rage like a berserker. You basically get an insane adrenaline rush and become so aggressive that you are enhanced in all of these areas, while Valor comes from a different point, and that's one of the situations where the light and the dark side powers are capable of producing the exact same effect, but the source from which it comes is entirely different. Force Heal and Force Drain both ultimately achieve the same thing, healing the user. However, in Force Heal you're drawing from your own force energies to heal your body, while with Force Drain you're using somebody else's life force to heal yourself. But the end result is pretty much identical. Hibernation trance, one of my favorites by the way. Deep hibernation state. With this power in the RPG you can save your teammates, like if they are poisoned or if you are stuck somewhere with no air or something. This power basically slows down your body's metabolism to almost standstill, which buys you a lot of time. You can't bleed out, you can't die to poison or anything like that. Really cool power in the RPG. I think in the movies or in video games it wouldn't be nearly as cool. In the RPG though, this is a fantastic power to have, and there's actually a dark side version of this too, which basically is the same thing, but it actually can go so deep that you halt someone's metabolism and that causes them to die. As example, was it Bane? I mean, Bane used Force Crush to crush someone's heart, his dad's heart. But no, actually it was Bane, it wasn't Force Crush. I think Bane managed to use the hibernation trance on his dad to stop his heart. I'm not 100% sure, but someone used it like that, and that's the dark side equivalent of it, which again I put this technically speaking as a neutral power, but it can be used for good purposes like saving people, which would align it with the light side. It could use to kill people by making their heart or other functions just stop, and then they die or can't have those functions anymore, which would align it more with the dark side. Inspires allies, yada yada, basically force valor again, just on a smaller scale. Ionize, overload or damage an electronic system, including droids and consoles, which is, yeah, sure, Darksiders do this with Force Lightning, same effect. Well, the Force Lightning is actually even more potent. Mind Trick, I'm sure you know that, that's one of the most common things used in the movies. Moricro, that's actually pretty cool. That's the one with whom you can actually kill people. Like, it's similar to Hibernation, but it's even stronger. And Moricro can put someone into a stasis like for as long as you need it to. It's basically like freezing someone in carbonite just with the force. They won't age. Their physical functions stop, almost stop, like time doesn't affect them anymore. That's power used to have some canon characters survive through millennia. Plant Surge, channel life energy into plants, yada yada yada. Yeah, basically what druids do. Restful sleep in danger. Technique that allowed the users to get restful sleep while remaining aware of their surroundings. I wasn't even aware that's a separate power. I think that's just a general precognition, but apparently it's its own power. Okay. Revitalize. Revitalize tired, wounded, and unconscious target using force energy. Basically force heal on a minor scale. Sever Force, that's the one that the council used to cut off the exile from force powers. By the way, again, one of the most diabolical things you can do to force users, and it's a Jedi thing. It's specifically listed as a light side power, though I'd put all of these into neutral territory because there's no reason why Sith shouldn't be able to learn this, and it's again not necessarily damaging anyone, not necessarily hurting anyone, but it is imposing your will over theirs, which is more a dark side aligned thing. True Sense, that's actually pretty cool. Basically, it's a force lie detector. If you lie, the Jedi knows it. Very, very useful. Words of Banishment. That's something that the Jedi used on Exar Kun to trap him in his temple. Like, Exar Kun tried to basically do a vitiate and eat an entire planet's life force to become immortal, and the Jedi didn't want that to happen, so they used words of banishment on Kun and trapped him for thousands of years in his temple until Luke let him out. Yeah. That's also a pretty cool story, by the way. So let's go on. We have Battle Meditation. That's a neutral power here. I'm pretty sure that's a Jedi, well, maybe not Jedi exclusive, but light side exclusive power. Weird list. Dark Transfer, extremely rare power that could bring others back to life from the brink of death or even resurrect oneself. If they are truly alive after that, yes, then that is a grey power, a neutral power. However, there was a similar version for the dark side which allowed to resurrect a dead corpse. Like, we have the ancient Sith using skeletal armies and zombie armies. That's basically the same idea, just that the body is still dead, it's just animated by the force. Detoxify poison. I mean, yeah, it explains itself. It can be used to purge alcohol or other things as well, which means that Jedi are even less fun at parties with that. Doppelganger, that's actually pretty cool. It allows you to basically create a doppelganger of yourself who you can use to spy on stuff, because you can see through their eyes and hear what they hear and so on and so forth. That's actually a really, really cool power that I wish we'd see it sometime in the cinematic universe. Flow walking, rare power that allowed the user to enter the past, alter and change the course for the future. Yes, that's actually a thing in Star Wars. I wish it wasn't, because I find time travel stories to be extremely difficult to do well, because if it's something people can do, nothing in the universe is guaranteed. Who says that Vader wasn't the Emperor? You can go back in time and make him the Emperor. Who says that I don't know, Han Solo isn't the Emperor? Because you totally could make that. And time travel stories always F up everything, for just like multiverses. I hate multiverses, I hate time travel, because most often it's just lazy writing to explore a storyline that didn't happen, and it's usually opening the floodgates of hell, where if people can do that, why does anything even happen? Like, you can prevent the Death Star from blowing up Alderaan. Why don't you do that? If you can alter the time, you could prevent so many things. And if you do time walking, time travel, it has to be severely restricted to pull off in a okay fashion. Not a fan of it. However, yes, that's in Star Wars, but it's something that I think the son, the father, and the daughter can do, but won't, because they are wise or something, and too much above mortal affairs to care, basically. But that's not a power a character should have. If at all, maybe you can rewind the last few minutes at most, something like that. Force barrier, so the scope is important. Force barrier, yeah, nothing special. Basically, you're creating a force shield. Force empathy, that's what I spoke about with sensing abilities in the other video. You can sense someone else's whatever thoughts, smells, vision, and so on and so forth. Force healing, yeah, clears that. Though force healing, I was pretty sure that was considered a light side power in most lists. This list is weird. If you can't tell, I haven't looked at this before. It was just a cool thing that I found after wrapping my last video. I've seen lists that are much better than that, and they clearly put force healing as a light side power, and I don't see how that's a neutral power. The only reason I can see is that there's some Sith that use force healing, but that doesn't make it a neutral power. Force jump, yep. Force lightning, this is neutral? Okay, look, you just said that the force lightning the Jedi use, the force, what was it, judgment, it's usually called here, it was called something else. That power was considered a light side power. Force lightning is not a neutral power. That's definitely a dark side power. That's like the signature dark side power. Who made this list? Seriously. Anyway, force speed, yep, just that. Force track allows users to harness omnipotent presence of the force to track targets, which is really, really cool. It's basically you can sense others through the force, which is a sense power, which again, say Obi-Wan, when Alderaan blew up, he sensed that, even though he couldn't know that it happened. He just sensed that something like that happened. Cool power. I generally speaking like that. It's nice. Malacia, induced powerful dizziness and nausea. Okay, that I'd say is more of a dark side power, but it's a rather lame dark side power, so okay, let it be neutral, I guess. The main issue I have with this, it's basically a very, very low level form of force poison, toxify, plague. Force plague. It's basically a very low level force plague power. And force plague obviously is a dark side power. This should be a dark side power. It's just a very low state, and there aren't that many useful applications of this in the Star Wars universe, unless you want someone to fail their test or something. Many shades of the force allow the user to use abilities across the entire spectrum of the force. See, I'm taking issue with that power already, because you don't need a power for that. That's inherent in the Force. Jedi can use dark side powers. We see that. We see Vapat, the sword combat style of Mace Windu, is just Chuyo with a different name. It's a dark side style. And just because you name it different doesn't make it different. Because it channels your emotions of hatred and anger, which the only reason the part is different from Chuyo is that basically Mace Windu, or better said, the actor of Mace Windu, wanted that because it's cool. But it's and the thing that makes the part different is that you don't actually fall to the dark side, you just edging it basically. So you don't need a power for that, dude. You can, I don't know where this is from, but that is standard. Everyone can learn any force power if they have the ability to. Memory walk, yeah, that's basically a really cool power. That's actually a dark side power. Now it's listed as a neutral power, but this is a dark side power because it allows you. Okay, you know what? I'll give it a neutral one. Okay, fine. It's not actually hurting someone, though the information gathered most likely will. But yeah, it's basically forcing yourself into someone else's brain and gathering their memories as you please. Nanotherapy. Visualize the target's memories and eliminated them. Now that's a dark side power. And that's actually a stronger version of force fear, where you manipulate people to fear you and get into total panic. There is also a version of that that affects many people at a time, up to entire armies. Precognition. Ability to divine events before they occur. Yeah, that's standard. Everyone has that. Like, even non-trained force sensitives have that. Psychometry. Ability to acquire information about the events or individuals associated with an object. Yep, that's actually something that both Sith and Jedi regularly do. Telekinesis. Well, okay, they just call it telekinesis, but most products of Star Wars have push, force pull, force levitate and stuff like that as separate powers with separate mastery. I guess it's ultimately all telekinesis, but I found it cooler that you have different areas for that. It's just like with your muscles, just because you're good at pushing something doesn't mean you're strong in pulling something, because there's completely different set of muscles used. But okay, I guess. Dark side powers. Bleeding. Pour hate, rage, fear and pain into a kyber crystal until it turns That's the Disney version, yep. Now, that's... oops, sorry. That's not how it used to be. In the expanded universe / legacy, the Sith crystals didn't exist, by the way, and you didn't need a kyber crystal to create a red crystal. The red crystals were completely artificially made. There was no kyber crystal needed for that. They were made synthetically, and yes, then the Sith poured their rage, fear, hate, whatever into the crystal, and that gave it the power of a kyber crystal. But it was not a kyber. There was no kyber crystal required. There was no kyber crystal changed. It was literally just a synthetically created material that was then made to radiate force from the user. And also, red crystals absolutely rule in duels because they can short out other lightsabers. So I don't like the idea of force bleeding, because kyber crystals are inherently loaded with the force already, and they do take on their surroundings powers, which is why most Jedi kyber crystals come from the world of Illum, which has a strong connection to the light side. It's why so many Sith crystals come from Korriban, which has a strong connection to the dark side. And it's why, say, the Permafrost crystal only is found at places that are strong in the dark side and extremely cold, like Hoth. So, control web. Summon a web that mind controlled the victims enmeshed within. I know this power as force puppet or puppeteering or something, but yeah, same thing basically. Corpse vision. Summon the spirits of the deceased lords to create illusions. You basically do the mind steal, breaking into someone's memory on a dead person. That now it's a dark side power because it's performed on a dead person, because doing that to a living person is obviously not evil, but okay, fine. Create Force Wraith. Created a non-sentient shadowy creature using dark side energy. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool, and that's indeed what the ancient Sith did on a large industrial scale. Like, that's how they animated the corpses that made up their skeletal and zombie armies. So yeah, I'm fine with that, absolutely. So crush opposition. Sap the willpower of everyone surrounding the user. I don't know where in canon this actually, where in Star Wars this actually was used like that. The closest thing I can think of is Valkorion, or was he still vitiate back then? Basically turning Revan and Malak to the dark side just by being present. I think that's that, though I'm not sure. Dark Aura. Charge the surrounding atmosphere with malicious force energy, hurting and slowing down those who enter it. Yep, that's a thing that actually, you see, it's even in the Disney canon. So yeah, that's a cool power. Dark Energy, it's basically a debuff. Dark energy traps were intense concentration of dark side power that could entrap victims. Yeah, and they could have multiple versions of that. If you enter ancient Sith temples in various video games, this power is used to create poison traps, explosive traps, stasis traps. You can be creative with this. Dark Shear. Forged and impact... was? Oh, that's that power. Okay, yeah. Basically, you can make a invisible weapon out of force energy. That's part of the ritual that the ancient Sith used to create force blades and give normal metal swords force properties. That's, I guess, an inferior version to that. Drain knowledge. Extracting knowledge from sentient targets without the consent. How many times do we have this power in this list? Okay, I've never heard of this. Dvomutsixua. Huh? Oh, the smoke demons. Okay, I know of these. Yes, that was a thing that happened quite a lot with the ancient Sith. I didn't know the name, but I do know the power. Smoke demons are super dangerous because they can't be hurt physically because they're basically just smoke, but they can damage you. They can be poisonous and they won't back down. They're immune to fear or anything. Those are brutal opponents. You can defeat them with force powers. Lightsabers won't help. Hatred. Involuntary exertion of the force power, allowing the user to become fully immersed in the dark side until the radiated waves of palpable hatred. Oh, it's basically like force fear, just with making people hate stuff and basically making them go amok and kill their own people, I suppose. Force choke, yeah. Now, oh, force choke and force crush isn't even in there, right? Okay, so force choke is a telekinetic power, and telekinetic powers we just saw above, by the way, were listed as neutral and summarized under telekinesis. And now a telekinetic power is suddenly a dark side power. Okay, fine, because force choke, you really use that for, well, not very well-meaning effects. Okay, fine. Force choke, you all know that is what Vader loves to do. There's a stronger version of this, by the way, called force crush, and force crush is basically the same thing, but you do it to organs and stuff. Like, you can literally crush someone's heart telekinetically. Force destruction. Created a massive energy field that could be hurled in any direction, vaporizing anything in its path. Yes, I remember that one. That's one of the most OP powers to have in combat, by the way. This is absolutely insane. So force drain, we've spoken about that a lot already. Force maelstrom. Devastating combo of protection bubble, telekinesis, and force lighting. Oh, that's the one. Okay, I know what they mean. Yeah, it's basically a shield protecting you, and if you come near it or hit it, you get zapped by force lightning. Very cool power. Force Storm, we've spoken about that. Force Walk, yeah, that's actually the ability to, it's basically not, it's a part of necromancy, though it's not sorcery. This is actually a power, and with this you can make force ghosts your servants, basically. It's the favorite power of Darth Nox. It's actually his signature move. I'm not sure, outside of the ancient Sith, I've never seen anyone use that. Force Wind, manipulated air currents, yeah, that's okay, fine, but there's also Force Earthquake, Force Lava Flow, Force Blizzard. There's more than just wind. There's Force Tsunami, so this is just one of the elemental powers. Meku Deru, what's that? Granted users an intuitive understanding of mechanics, allowing them to control inanimate or robotic constructs. Never heard of that. Thought Bomb. Oh, that's an evil thing. Like, that's what Bane used to wipe out the Sith Order. That one. I mean, the Thought Bomb wasn't invented by Bane. The ancient Sith had that and already had used that. But the really evil thing about the Thought Bomb is that it traps the spirits of, like the essence of anyone caught in the blast, instantly killing their bodies, and their spirits are forced to still be around after that. That's one hell of a power. The Jedi spent hundreds of years cleaning up that mess. Essence transfer. Yeah, we've spoken about essence transfer already, quite a bit actually. Essence transfer is a dark side power because you are basically kicking someone else out of their body and taking over. Now the list is not complete. That's 66 force powers. There is over 100 in canon that I can think of, with various levels of each. There might be several hundred, but I'm really missing out on pyrokinesis, cryokinesis. Wait, there was another that I really missed here. There are actually a few that I should have spoken up against when going through this list. There's actually some force powers that are missing here, but it's a nice introduction for people who don't really know what you can do with the Force. Yeah, so that's a video, I guess. Have a nice day, and may the Force be with you.